Yeah.
Cool.
I didn't talk, but
Hi Gary, are you there?
him and Joe had words.
I'm here.
All right,
Oh.
we're not ready to start yet, but
I'm glad to have drinks. Well, it all stemmed from the building over there in Canton.
Yeah.
RV never paid.
I know that's what-
Truck for $600.
Work airport. 2 hours beforehand, though, is not.
I don't love it, but you know, I sometimes you have to. I'll put when I read the story, all I could think about was Rick. That you would not like this.
We get too stressful.
Well, I happen to have on skill, no one is doing this. Anytime the press says, here's a social media trend you may not have heard about,
Yeah.
it's not real. This is just like, we're starting to get into the summer stories.
Oh.
Right? It's the trend. By the way, here, try this airport theory on you. Let me try it. Don't fly. Really? Flying has become one of the worst things. It's in this world of advancement, social, political, whatever. It's the one thing that has degraded over time. We have better selection of food. We have interesting technologies, high-speed computers, but flying.
Totally like on radio.
Yeah.
I flew this weekend and it was like everyone lining up and pushing each other and lying about what group they're in and the overhead bin stuff.
Oh, you can lie about your group?
Well, or no, they, you know, they just like pushed it.
You know what you do? You do like a group five, you identify as group one. That's good. So you can't, only just grab a random child and you got to think that, oh, that thing, you have to go. This guy, you know what, flying is fine, but flying with this guy is. He shows up 3 hours ahead of a domestic flight, and in order to get to his gate, he commandeered one of those trolleys. Yeah. Like he was like an elderly man, and sat there with a glass of wine and sunglasses, getting driven through the air like that. That was weird. I think it was 2020, right? That's because I was late to the flight, so I had to get up. You were not late. You were not late. You were like 3 hours ahead of time. I'm coming from the box at 6 o'clock. I was at 8. You're crazy.
All right, one more thing's up now.
I just opened a file back there. In looking for that contract there, which is probably in the other files. Look at this, December 7th, 1987. Dad passed away on November 28th, 1987. And I won't, but see, it's a very short letter. If you can see it. And it's dated December 7th, which is what? 9 days after Dad passed away. And it said, this is Brown and Silver Attorneys at Law, Main Street. Attention, George E. Silver, Esquire. RE the estate of Carl Eggleston. Dear George, F. Bird Evans, pursuant to the request of Anita Turner, dated December 4, 1987, we are enclosing the original last will and testament of the late Carl J. Eggleston. So I was sending this to them.
I don't know, this is.
Oh, I know. I must have mailed it to them.
I've been saying.
Can you turn it up so I can hear this? I'll sit over there.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Community where she lived, her mother, Casey, you'll recall, that's me in 2008, I think, no, that's me now. Anyway, Casey told law enforcement her daughter was kidnapped by Zanny the Nanny, and the story quickly unraveled. She became the most hated mom in America. So it's available now on Fox Nation, go check it out. All right, tonight we got a dinner. It's Tyrus is returning, so we got one back. Kennedy, Andrew Rule, and Aaron, formerly Perini. Let's do this. We have some time. I can block out Jesse. It's right. Absolutely disgusting news. Want to see something disgusting? Look at this baby penguin learning to swim. Penguins can't swim until their water and feathers come in. And this is at the Indianapolis Zoo, Dana. You've been there. Look for Canada. I'm gonna take my time with Jesse. Well, that's the time to do. We'll just get the Eagles that are going to the White House to celebrate Super Bowl victory. Tonight, Jesse Waters, primetime, Peter Navarro, Kevin O'Leary, Kevin McCarthy, Chris Hansen. All right, ladies, feast your eyes on that. Yeah. Just John Stewart. No, John Stewart. Okay. Thanks, Dan. Good evening. Welcome to Washington.
Oh.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Yeah, just a huge copy.
The board members should have your February minutes in your packet for review.
Gentlemen, I've asked Jill if she would add one word under old business on the top page. Under the summary of the financial report, asked her to use the phrase fund balance and insert the word fund in the third to last line. So that it would read the current fund balance of $2,200,000 is higher than the prior. Just to clarify what fund we're talking about. Or what balance we're talking about.
Any other corrections, changes, additions?
No.
If not, then you have motions or
With that change, I would move approval of the minutes.
we have a motion made, we have a second.
Second.
Motion's made and second. Roll call, please.
Okay. Chris,
Aye.
Sean,
Aye.
Gary,
Abstain.
David,
Aye.
and Frank.
Aye. The next item in your packet is the special town board meeting and public hearing, February 27th.
I'll make a motion to accept.
Do we have a second?
Gary and Sean were the only people who were there other than you, Frank.
Oh, that's right. Gary?
Yes,
Did you second that?
yes.
Okay. Oh, I can't hear.
So.
It's not coming around.
Made, seconded, roll call.
Chris,
Abstain.
Sean,
Aye.
Gary,
Aye.
David,
Abstain.
and Frank.
Aye. Motion carries. The minutes are approved. we're moving to correspondence, and we have a letter from the DOT. Oh, here it is. It was addressed to Joe. It was a response to Gary's request, I believe.
No, this is
No,
the
this
one
is the
for
one down here, yeah.
the petition on 37th.
Yeah. So,
It was to lower the speed limit from 55 down, but they denied it.
yes. Not surprising, but. You know, ask. You can't even get a no. Okay, that really do from Forest, I think. Well, now, any public comment, Sharon? Anyone else here? I'd like to address. Joe? Well, Joe will be under, yeah, go ahead.
Did you want me to comment publicly about something?
Well, usually you don't whisper.
I'm sorry, no, I don't whisper, I know that, you know. Whispering doesn't get you very far in my profession. So, if you want me to go now, I'd be more than happy to.
Go ahead.
Get me out of the way.
Go ahead.
Okay, I would say this is that, you know, given the current issues that the Department of Corrections is having and how it is affecting not only them, but their families, their neighbors, their children. I would say, I can speak for myself, but I also heard last evening from the other legislators, and we're just getting flooded with calls about that. You know, why aren't you doing something? And, you know, the whole thing boils down to, you know, we can talk to you, probably steer you in the right direction, tell you what's going on. But as far as dealing with a state agency that's on strike, we don't have, you know, a dog in that fight. And there's absolutely nothing we can do except, you know, sympathize, if you will, for what they're doing. What we did do, and because of the recent happenings on the part of the governor, we authorized the county attorney to not go out and, you know, try to solve the problem, but to go out and see what, if anything, there is that the county can do. If for no other reason, is that these people are residents of our county, they're taxpayers in the county, they are our constituents, and they deserve an ear if they want to talk about something. And that's what we've tried to do. It may be a moot point now, as far as Steve Butner, the county attorney, going out and trying to find things that we can do, because we just fired 2,000 correctional. The governor further has mandated that because they violated the Taylor law, that she's got a proclamation out now that no state agency nor any municipal agency can hire any of these people that are included in that group of 2,000 that got fired. They, she looks at it as they gave up their right to public employment when they violated the Taylor law. I would say that if I worked in a jail and I was concerned about my safety, I'd probably be doing the same thing. I'd probably be without a job.
It's bad. If you talk to some of the COs, it's bad in there.
I have expected, that'll end up in court, for sure.
Oh, yeah, I'm sure it will. I'm sure it will. But, you know, as what usually has it, you know,
They're suffering.
Albany usually makes out very well to the dismay of you and I, you know, where we are in the whole scheme of things.
It's all one-sided.
So, well, you know, I mean, these people, if they don't have a job and they can't get employment, and if you don't work for the government up here, you don't have a job, most, except for Dave. And I mean, it is, you know, the government is a big employer, whatever government. And, if these guys can't get a job, where are they gonna go? They're gonna move. Are they gonna be able to sell their house? Or are they gonna be able to live in it and drive? You know, I just don't understand it. 24-hour shifts? I think that's nuts. That's nuts. I work 16 hours many a day and I drag my back end home after the end, and I'm sure that most of us have. But 24 hours, and some of these guys are driving 1-2 hours just to get to work. Go to Bear Hill from Ogdensburg. It's a 70-80 mile trip. And we've got people from Ogdensburg that are assigned to Bear Hill and Malone. So, work a 24-hour shift, time to drive up there, time to drive home. That's looking for trouble. That's dangerous. So, you know, say your Hail Marys for these guys, 'cause, I don't know what else is gonna help them at this stage of the game, but, I think it's, you know, something that we still need to be looking at, still need to be interested in, and still needed to, you know, tell these guys, we're trying our best, we got your back. Hopefully it works out. So, any questions about that? I think that, proclamation that she came out with is online. So if you were interested, it's there, it's rather lengthy, but it's worthwhile reading to see everything. She's cutting these guys right off at the knees. So, it's a darn shame. That is what most of my month has been taken up doing. We did, in one of our meetings, reached out to the Power Authority to get an explanation of why they need a 200+% raise in, I mean, I don't know, you know, what water they're drinking, but, it's gotta have an effect on them.
Didn't the governor approve it?
Huh?
Didn't they approve it?
Yeah.
The governor did, yeah.
I'm sure she did. We also reached out to the DEC about their refusal to continue the walleye stocking. And I don't think that we changed their minds at all, but we had several conversations with them and pointed out, you know, in years past, how good walleye fishing was around here, how good it was in Pope Mills and in Ross City, which actually drew people in just to look at it for the numbers of fish that were there. They took a dam out in Pope Mills around the time that fishing dried out, which allowed for a lot of silt to collect in the spawning beds that these fish use. And it pushed them right out of the business of spawning, for the most part, in Pope Mills. They're still, they are still there to a degree, but a very small degree compared to past years. And the same goes for Rossi. I know you probably all here remember that when the pike ran back in the years, there were conservation officers all over the place up here. It was such an event that you could go down in Ogdensburg around that crescent there, and it'd be lined with people with fish lines in there. And you could go anywhere in the city and smell the fish that you know, decided to spawn up near that dam. One of the things that we did do is we bought a new freezer for the Potsdam Nutrition Center, much like the one that we did up here for the fire department. Those are the kind of things that we like to see come up and be able to give them some funding, which was quite an amount, I must say. We got another, at least one error to correct in the tax bills that were sent out. And I'm not sure if you're familiar with how that is going to be handled. As far as for your instance, I'm sure you probably do know about it, but if you haven't, I can fill you in. If you paid too much in, your taxes, you're gonna get a credit the next year. If you haven't paid enough in your taxes, because there's no way to do anything to correct that on the part of the county is going to absorb whatever those underpayments are. And they'll be, you know, those taxpayers will be held harmless. Who's gonna pay for it? You and I remember. For the lack of, you know, any state help from the real property department down there. And telling us you can't change it. The law says this is the way it is, and this is the way it is, so we're sort of stuck with it.
The reasoning behind that was absolutely ridiculous that was allowed to happen.
Probably was, I don't know why it was allowed to happen, but
Well, supposedly the person that was supposed to prove everything was sick, and so they didn't have another person to do it.
at
That's
the
bull.
county, I thought you meant the state level.
You know, look
Yeah.
at, like, for example, when I work at Board of Elections, you have to have at least 2 people prove everything. That's the way it should be at the county.
So the
Well,
county's,
uh,
the county was, the county's.
It's county's fault.
So they won't pay.
They will not, the people that got the tax bill and didn't pay enough aren't going to pay, no. The county made the mistake, the county's gonna pay for it.
So what happens, let's say that somebody sells a property and they paid too much? What happens then?
If they sell the property,
Yeah.
well, I would imagine that, and they paid too much.
Mhm.
They get a credit on the next year's tax bill. I don't know that that issue has been raised, to be honest with you. It's a what if. You know, what if somebody sells it? I understand. You know, that's one of the things that'll probably have to be taken up later. I don't know.
It would
Good
probably
question.
follow along with the tax map ID, and that's how they can track it. I'm assuming.
Yeah,
I think what Sherry's asking is who will end up with that, with that.
With the credit.
Credit.
Well, that's just, if you're talking about if there was a sale on the property.
Right.
Probably what would happen is whoever has that tax map. If the seller already paid the taxes on it, then the seller would get the credit. If they're no longer, then I would think that they would have to be cut a check, because it's a credit.
Mhm.
I know the county was asking us how we wanted to deal with our mess up. And ours was minimum,
Their mess up.
their mess up.
Okay.
I meant for our town, and I mean, they wanted us to cut a check for every single property owner. That would have been what, 21,000 checks? That's not even.
well, you
Maybe
didn't
some
have
of-
many properties that were. You didn't have 21,000.
In the confusion of it.
Affected.
Well, we had that many
Individuals.
parcels, and they all get a portion of those chargebacks.
The older people, it would be so confusing.
Yeah.
Let's just do it. clean this
Do the
thing.
credit.
Well, first off, it never should have happened.
Exactly.
Second off, yes, there's an excuse, but it's an inexcusable excuse. You need somebody, just as you said, Mayor, that, you need somebody to, be checking the work of the worker that's doing this. And that did not happen. And it's a lame excuse. There should have been policies, there should have been people there, that, would act as a backup to somebody that's off sick and can't do it. I'm hoping it won't happen again, but. You know, year after year, there's always a couple of errors along the way that get addressed.
So is there a policy in place now?
New policy, yes, absolutely. He was directed, Mr. Green was directed to put together a policy and bring it before the board, which he did. And hopefully what he's got and is setting in motion will take care of that. So I'll see. we did with respect to the corrections officers, bring forward a resolution. And send it to the governor, and that didn't have much of an effect. As far as anything else, it was, as I said, mostly taken care of this. We had a few, we had a couple of public hearings that had to do with positions. One of them was a position of public health director. One of them was positions that we have a hard time filling. They being in our community services and in our public health department. The two people that are in there now do not reside in St. Lawrence County. What we had to do was to hold a public hearing on each one of those issues to, with respect to residing outside the county, to allow, have a public law that will allow for, people that do reside outside the county, an opportunity to, work for the county. The issue with these two positions are the qualifications that are required. And they're so darn strict with the state. There are very few people out there that are qualified to do the work. Ergo, you cast a wider net, and we ended up getting people from Franklin County and Essex County to fill those positions. Human Resources and the Personnel Department has got to the point where there is so much involved, mandated by the state, that we need somebody a little bit higher up to oversee the whole thing, and let the gal that was doing the other work with respect to qualifying people for positions and, making sure that they were qualified, can be handled by somebody who doesn't have that knowledge base that, somebody else has. So, we'll also have to go with that.
Thank you, Joe.
Any question? Thank you.
With that, we'll move on.
Actually, yeah, I mean, guys were asking if we were gonna respond to whatever the other thing was before. But I've missed all of you. I've been trying to get here for about 6 months. So I don't know if I've missed anything with Lisa. I know her and I chit chat over me going and pulling permits to do a nice little project through the town. A nice little project over at Oak Point Road where I reside, next to a burnt down piece of crap. I've been 6
I don't
years.
remember that.
Yeah, I'll love to invite you over. So
It's actually on my list right here too.
correct, like, so maybe not just my place, but like, even when I'm expressing my concern with the issue to other people, other issues come to surface, like Gary Crosby the other day when our kids are shooting bows and arrows, and he's like, "You think yours is bad?" He's like, "Look at the house next door to me." That was Andy Linson's, right at the top of Hooker Street. But there's a lot of this garbage that is just being allowed to exist.
I'm gonna
Right.
at least have to fill in.
I mean,
Don't shoot daggers, cause I'm new.
no, but you know, for the love of God, we've gone through 2 officers, right? With the residence next to mine, which is no longer, right? I don't know how it was allowed to be sold, for one, from the guy who had the incident, unfortunately, you know what I mean? Like, nobody, wants to see happen what happened, you know what I mean? It was terrible, to go in and like, I'm not a firefighter, but I went in and got one of the dogs out, you know what I mean? I've never been in a guy's house.
So there's a new owner,
Yeah, but like there was money in the cleanup for cleanup in the insurance policy, right? Why are we allowed to take that money and knowingly, you know what I mean? It was open, and Sherwin at the time, Chris, knew that there was money there for it. It should have been allocated to it. The money was taken and was used to provide for another house for, the wife at the time, who's no longer, but, the money that was there to clean it up, freaking there.
I don't know, I
Um,
don't know how that works.
And I have been bringing this up at the last 2 or 3 meetings.
I've just been busy with kids stuff and sports
No,
and,
I've been,
all
all
but
the properties.
it's so frustrating, because even the things that I do, right, like, when it comes to, look. The basic point that it comes down to is there's no money in the balance to do it, right? There's no money there, and like, if you had to reach out to the county and get money from them for portions to help with this, whatever, money's there. Because everything that exists next door to this dumpster fire is brand new. It's stuff that we, as my family, has brought to the town of Morristown. Has developed something pretty substantial over there, right? So I can say that in a 6-month time frame that it's taken me to actually make it to one of these meetings, I've given you guys enough money to pay for the cleanup. And I'm not kidding.
Unfortunately, he just doesn't like work quite like that.
Huh?
He doesn't quite
Well,
like-
now wait a minute, how much money was coming off of the property that is now addressed at 1048 Oak Point Road? How much tax money was coming off that 3.1 acres prior to me beginning to build over there in 2015?
No, I'm not saying like, I'm not arguing that about what was there. What I'm saying is you just, the way our county, government county does not work, it doesn't come here and go there. It's.
I don't care where you gotta get it from, man, cause I respect
But
that.
there's laws, we just can't go on people's property, which we just addressed.
We're working. Lisa
So
wants to-
we cannot just go say, we're gonna take taxpayer money and go clean this bad boy up. So
But-
we have to, and Andy Silver we just won a case that did we just sign that into law here not too long ago? There was a case that took precedence that we could start doing this, and we just started putting money away. So we can take care of some of the stuff.
Before we couldn't, we didn't have that law to be able
We
to.
just made the law 2 months.
It's
Well,
on, maybe within 6 months.
Was there not ordinance that like it was supposed to be cleaned up within 90 days of incident? And if it hadn't been done by the town's body, that it would then just default to the tax levy.
We never
Right.
had that. Well, we never had that. That's what we have now.
He's talking about the unsafe structure law
Oh.
that's been on the books since '99.
Correct. So,
Of which, then we took the 6 worst, right? That was Greg was working on, and we're still not even knowing that, going to the
Correct.
Supreme Court.
I know there's tons
No,
of,
that's garbage.
That's garbage.
That's two
That's
separate,
garbage.
yeah, you're thinking 2 separate.
but I mean, I think
Still,
that's
still,
still.
Right, it's the same.
and we'd have to be the same thing, we'd have to tie it
Yeah.
to 6 and go to court.
And
But the
even
way the
with the-
property stands and the things that are on it, it's not just a house, I mean, there's trash, there's stuff that was left there that. The guy that owned the place took what he wanted and left, and then the Amish have come in and they've gone through the structure and picked it apart. You know what I mean, and grabbed their garbage and went with it, and then now it just kind of sits there, it's a storage lot for crap. And now the skunks are in there. So if I gotta start trapping these things and bring them to you to prove it, now that my kid had to go out and get a brand new puppy, right? That's where they wanna go play. So I'm like, my frustration is, past the ceiling. And it's, it's not just mine. It's the guy around the corner with his trailer and his goddamn lawnmowers that fill the whole lot that he's got. He gets a chemical dumpster in there and then everybody's got to leave him alone.
He's got tickets, right?
Yeah, but.
So can we put him on these people, cause you're talking garbage again, can we get another list to Andy to get these guys into, so.
And like, so
The one
legally,
that is already with Andy has been, what, 2 years now, 3 years? And we're just
Yeah,
getting
yeah.
another, like, he wanted me to go out during that blizzard that we just had and get new updated pictures for him. Well,
but I tried to purchase the property for both of the people. You know what I mean? And it's, then nobody, first guy didn't wanna sell it, I said, I'll gladly give you $1, my man, cause it's gonna cost me $8 to get rid of it. I'm not gonna dig a hole and put the shit in the ground. I still live there, you know what I mean? The only people, so now that it's been more than 2 years since incident, nobody can do anything with it. The kid that owns it now thinks he can rebuild and he can't.
Oh, God.
He absolutely cannot. It's 3/4 of an acre, and the only persons that can do anything with it are myself and Mike Fauché, because we own adjacent property. And we can do what's needed to meet zoning. So when they say that like, this thing's a piece of crap, it's absolutely a piece of crap.
Yeah.
The thing that I built over there was built to the zoning standards that I had to jump through hoops to do what I wanted to do over there. God bless me, I got there. It's almost done, and I'll probably finish it now. I don't know if the assessor's on his way out, but he's at the top of the beaten list too. I'm sick of writing checks calling him a jerk on my friggin' time. I'm happy to do it, and the girls at the county giggle too, because they send me receipts with smiley faces. They think it's funny. So,
I'm
I mean, we're gonna come up with a
I'm taking it-
solution to the
I'm
problem.
I'm taking this seriously. but-
I know, so then like,
but
you know, laughter's medicine, and boy, I've been getting a lot of it, like, every time I drive in my
You have a great sense
driveway.
of humor.
I mean, we don't have any, what do we have?
With the unsafe structure law, everything that Ken just said, it's, they're supposed to clean up after a major incident, any, roof falls in, they're supposed to only have a certain amount. So with that, I have it, this is part of my report tonight, for April's meeting, there will be 6 properties that I'm bringing to you. You guys, the way our law reads, I bring the properties to you, you declare them unsafe structures. That opens up my door to go after enforcement. I have to send them a letter, they have 30 days
So
to,
you got 6 unsafe structures right now?
yes.
So why don't we just say they're unsafe right now? Why do we do what we do?
Correct, because
Do
these
we have to
letters
have
are
an actual
been
resolution though?
No, we can do a resolution
Like-
to what the motion is stating.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, but like I said, this is the process, it's not just, they're gonna get tore down tomorrow.
Right.
They have 30
It's
days
not-
to either tear down, fix up, or they can request a public hearing, which will be in front of all you. And they have the right to fight for, whatever, say why they should keep it. And then after that, they have 30 more days to, put.
Well, I don't wanna piss away, excuse my language, 30 days. Let's do it tonight and get it started.
And what this all sounds like is not unlike renters and how much rights the renters have over.
And that's the thing too, like,
Okay,
this is the same
sounds
process though, because once,
It's
and
almost-
just so
it's almost
everybody's
like
aware, like,
economics.
everybody thinks about these unsafe structure, which I completely agree. They shouldn't, any town should be able to go after them, but the way our laws are wrote is we give them all this time. Once we get over that threshold, it still has to go through court, then it has to go, we send our whoever in. I don't know where you're gonna find a contractor that wants to step foot on private property these days to clean up.
Ooh, ooh.
Exception.
Like, put it on paper, let's go.
But if sitting there, you can't say, okay, just got a bag. you
Get
know,
out.
But this is the thing, but if these ones that are vacant, the town goes in, cleans it up, they send the bill to the homeowner. They don't care, they're gonna let it go to county for taxes, county sits on them. I have 2 properties up in Hammond that are owned by the county that are unsafe structures. We called over and talked to them, and they're like, yeah, we know, but we're still in the process, we don't have any money.
Who's that, Hammond?
Yeah. So where's you know what I mean? Everybody comes down on us,
Get on
but
that.
where's the process? Like.
That's ridiculous.
Right.
I have a hard time with that.
I
have a hard time
I
with
was
it.
sitting with this
Well,
assessor
what they
up there.
said, they don't have any money?
Yeah,
Yeah.
She was supposed to go to Button and ask where the process was, but the last they knew.
whatever happened to the process, that after something like that happened, that, you're supposed to clean up your mess.
That's all on your conscience, you know,
And-
your conscience, you clean it up, if not.
Don't we?
Yeah, but
is
come
it-
on, if that was my house and I owned
I know.
it, they'd be up my ass to clean it.
We don't have any zoning here, obviously, or do we? So zoning should handle that problem you have of going on that property. You've got a structure that's unsafe, you've got a duty to protect the public. And, you're losing money because it's essentially off the tax rolls, for all practical purposes. After a period of time, can you not take it upon yourself? Or go to court and get a court order, if that's what's required, to get that, go clean it up. Put the bill added to the property tax, and it goes on, file, they can't sell the property as long as there's a lien attached to it. And once the lien's attached, it's gotta be satisfied before they can sell it. End of story. I mean, the other side of that is, after it's been there for 2 years, that we will take possession of the property and we will sell it. We did that with, one up on the English Settlement Road, if you just remember here.
So,
Last year, I think.
say if it's
I don't remember.
Say it's 10,000 to clean it, the county takes it, sells it for 1,000, we get $1,000.
That's the problem, no question about it.
But it does look bad in town, you know. I agree. I wouldn't want it next to me. So,
So it's basically somebody needs to take the initiative to follow through with a court order and to contact the county, correct?
Sounds like it.
now who does that? Would you do it or the lawyer does it?
Once it gets through that, to get to that point, then it'd be in Andy's hands.
Then it would be what?
In Andy's for the lawyers, and then it goes to
Which
Supreme
means you're
Court
gonna sit there.
for 3 more, cause
Oh, yeah, he had a
I.
lien of mine for a non-payment and that, they circumvented it, Henry Leader did it over in Governor.
Mhm.
Even though I served
And if
Governor
they're paying
Savings
the
Loan
taxes
Bank
on the
and.
property,
the-
you're kind of, I mean, yeah, it's gonna go
Yeah.
on their
Is
tax
there-
bill, but.
I'll
And
say,
Andy
is
left
there a
it
way
on
to
the
get
desk
a
and-
more responsive lawyer? I mean, seems like anything to send him, just take months.
Yeah, like, and this isn't the first person that I brought this issue to, right?
That's all.
The other 2 code officers had my earful.
It's like,
Is it?
It's tough.
I think it'd be worth looking.
You do, I'd be
I'd be all for it. I mean, it seems like anything we do takes months, you know. I don't know how other lawyers are, I don't know.
Well, you know something, you got a director of real property over there and the persona of Bruce Green. Why don't you call Bruce Green?
Why don't you and I next week go over?
He can give you the process. And he's a real director of real property.
I'll let
You ought to know.
And one of the important things is to keep track of the time frame.
Yeah.
Cause you've gotta have that time frame. And I'm not
Yeah,
saying
right.
anything that you're doing, I don't mean that, but you've gotta keep track of that time frame. And then whoever's responsibility is to call over to the county, be it Frank, because he's supervisor, then that needs to be done on that time frame, not wait another 30 days.
See if you can make it one. I'll go over there and see if you can get.
Yeah, I mean, it's not just mine, you know, I mean, like that little house down over the hill too on the corner of the paper street right there, that red brick building, Jesus Christ.
The wall's falling on it.
It's so bad. They shouldn't even be allowed to sell it.
That place is in the current owner that just bought it. He is not in our area.
I know.
So that one, I
Even
did
for the
get,
thing and Brooks is looking right now,
yes,
but it
and
shouldn't even
Brooks,
be allowed to
I
sell.
actually reached out to Brooks and Brooks does have a contract with him. He's been there, he's doing his assessment. So he can get it fixed or whatever, but.
Can you tell us the properties that are the 6 properties?
Yeah, I don't have them with me
Okay.
tonight, but yeah, they'll all be, and when we do the list.
There's some on the
it'll
lake over there.
be- Yeah,
Down there.
but 2 of those have sold, they're getting demoed. The trailer and the big house.
That big house.
So those ones are kind of off. That one, like I said, that's with an engineer, which would be the process anyway, so he's kind of jumping a step for me. Just because I know Brooks and, so that would be part of our process anyway. We'd have to hire an engineer to come in and do structural studies on all these. I mean, it's.
Is the property up on the corner of Hooker Street, is that one of them?
Yes, but that one, like I said, that one, the property owner is selling, or I can't remember. She came in last summer and had talked to me about, she was trying to get the garage taken down.
It's coming down.
Yeah, or taken away, I should say. But that was her this summer, she was supposed to start.
Is she not in Canada?
Yes. So I mean, the old Masonic, that's sold now, so they're supposed to be coming in and renovate.
Oh, it's all right.
Yeah, all right, let's get
The
this.
wind today.
Let's get back here
Yeah.
to something constructive, not that we haven't, but we're kind of going this way now. We can't do that tonight if you if you don't have the identification of those. Even though we'd like to, we can't do she can't identify those.
Were they in your office? Can you run down again?
All right.
Yeah, she's not the end anyways, at the end.
Yeah, I'll put it in my-
You're down by the dog control officer.
With that, we'll move into, all business and we'll be revisiting, obviously. We don't have the financial report because we're not with us. But the financial report is not with us tonight. Cemetery insurance bid openings, we don't have.
He
that.
never, I did not get it before I left. No. You didn't get anything, did you, Dean?
No.
Even though he's responded that he's going.
We did hear from Jeff Perro and he is interested. But he was supposed to give me the bid before today's meeting.
The next item is the application for historian's position. Our historian informed me that this is her last month, that she's not. At one point, she said she'd stay on till we got somebody. So we do have an application. You should have a copy. Do you have a copy in there?
Yeah.
Well, I noticed that on the application, she didn't offer any references.
Well, she's been self-employed, so I'm not sure how she do it.
So I would volunteer to be a reference.
Okay. And of course,
Yeah, motion to.
I have to say,
Yeah,
you would need that, and yeah.
I'll make the motion of your
I'll
point.
second it. I'll second it.
Roll call.
Chris,
Aye.
Sean,
Aye.
Gary,
Aye.
David,
Aye.
Frank.
Abstain.
Is it clear to all of you who's?
We were gonna be without. Yeah, maybe you're not gonna do it like her, but. Yeah, help us get through it. She's met with Joanne too a couple times. So, all right, we'll move on to new business. Resolution number 4 for 2025.
I don't.
Thank you very much
Thank
for your
you.
time. Everybody.
So we need a,
So you and Chris,
yes, we did our due diligence.
I'll make the motion.
Sorry.
Just to let you know, the report wasn't attached to your copy.
Roll call.
Chris,
Aye.
Sean.
Aye.
Gary,
Aye.
David.
Aye.
Frank,
I think, yeah, even though I did the audit, it's something, I guess, sure. So the motion carries. For the resolution number 4. The next is resolution number 5 to support the Assembly Bill 5890. In relation to awarding contracts for the purchase of rock salt, sodium chloride mine or hand harvested in Canada. You want to give us a little background?
Yes, yeah, what is it?
You want to give us a little?
Well, because the state had said we can only buy salt in New York State salt, and this year, New York State ran out of salt. So this gives us the authority, the ability to go to either call over to Canada and have a truck it here, or
Yep, I'll make that motion.
get children salt, or
So the motion's been made and seconded.
who seconded it?
I'd throw in just a little information in addition to that,
John.
which is that until New York State established this law to protect New York State businesses, which I sympathize with the purpose. Until that happened, salt imports at the Bridge and Port Authority was a major source of employment for longshoremen. And this has really cut the employment for local longshoremen, not to have any salt ships coming in from Canada.
So this one will have back up.
Yeah, that's right. Well, I'm all for it.
So if we got the motion made and seconded, we can have a roll call, please.
Chris,
Aye.
Sean,
Aye.
Gary,
Aye.
David,
Aye.
Frank,
Aye. Motion carries. Resolution. Number 5. Okay, the next item is municipal engineering consulting service. Right. First to. Leave that list.
Look, gentlemen, you know that several of us, in particular, Anne Marie and Frank and I have been working on putting together an application for a grant. The purpose of which is to transform the downtown area and the harbor. And make it stronger and stronger as a tourist attraction and improve the living quality. This is one that we applied for 2 years ago and did not win at the time. And we believe that if we had access to a consulting firm to help us polish this application, that it would improve the likelihood that we get success with it. And I would like to, at some point, discuss with you what we have in mind for this particular application.
We would actually, we discussed, we'd like to do a walking. We'd like to walk the area and
Yeah, I think that it would be really
share,
good
to
to
share
walk
with
with
the
it.
board what we're. And we would welcome.
And
Yeah.
I think that if everybody would recognize that these plans are things that people are working on, but that they're not gonna happen until they get further down the road. There are a lot of bridges to cross before they happen. Perhaps we can talk a little bit about these. In particular, we've been talking with Ted Phillips, who owns the property around the point on the shoreline. And Ted has an interest in developing that property. There's a big difference between Morristown and Clayton. We're not gonna echo Clayton, but you know what the hotel in Clayton did for that community. And this is Ted's vision for being able to do something on the point of that sort of impact.
And I think he's been very guarded with this, but because I think that he's wanted to purchase more property. And if it becomes common knowledge, this is my theory, becomes common knowledge, then all of a sudden the value of the property for the present owner.
And he's already bought everything, so. He's already bought it already.
But
So please be discreet about sharing this.
the
An open meeting.
Being recorded.
and
Has he been really forthcoming with you about this
Absolutely.
information? Because normally he is very closed mouth about it.
he
Yes.
is very close mouth.
And
But,
make it a second.
We approached him and said, if we were to have the town engage a consultant, would you pay half the bill up to, and we've got a number. And he said, yes. So
He's already sent the check.
this is pretty public, guys. Now, treat the information with respect, please. But,
Chris, we also asked him, if you don't mind, if
Yeah.
I
indeed,
add, we also asked him for concepts. Because for a long time, he was just talking about, well, I want to develop, but there was never anything in writing. And so we did ask him to submit some concept plans, which he has submitted. And he gave us 3 different proposals that he had developed by his firm in Ottawa, I believe. And we have those, and we have had those.
And he said that, they're not set in stone, that there was
Right.
parts of each one that would work. So,
so anyway, this application in the long run would include some private enterprise. It would include some not-for-profit in the sense that while I have to run it by the museum board tomorrow night, I've got a project in mind for the museum to do, where they would apply for some funds and try to do some work on the downtown museum building and improve it. And in the long run, I think it would imply that the town would do some work on parks, sidewalks and things of that nature. And we'd have to pull this plan all together, and some of it would be funded with grant money, but probably we'd have to have some skin in the game too. So the short-term decisions, the two that we want to have your consensus or agreement on. And we're asking for whether you can make a decision tonight. Would be to authorize us to engage an engineering or consulting firm. Excuse me, who would bill us at a rate that's only slightly lower than Bartman Low Judas, but it is. On an hourly basis. For
Is
consulting.
that in their package?
To put this application together and get it into the state in a timely
Yeah.
manner.
How much you're thinking, I mean,
We're proposing a total of up to $10,000. With a maximum of 5 from the town and 5 from Ted Phillips. And then the other thing that we need to get this application buffed by midsummer. Is that a fair characterization?
I think so. I think that the piece that was important for me is I can do lots of grunt work. I can put sentences together. I can do all of that. But when we're looking at property down on the riverfront and somebody says, oh, we want to build docks or do something, we need an engineering firm.
Yeah.
We need someone to consult. We need professionals. So we went ahead and interviewed, we had 3 people on board. One is Fourth Coast, and they have the proposal, I think that's in your packet. One was, what's the name, Strategic Development from Syracuse.
Right.
And then another one, Labella, did not reply to us. They didn't keep the appointment with us. And we interviewed St. Lawrence Engineering / Fourth Coast, and they were the most reasonable. They're not trying to get a lot of work. They are there if we want them, and if we don't need them, we don't need to use them. But they have the expertise that I think we would need if one of Phillips' plans goes through and we want to do a river walk. They would be able to come in as well and say, this is what you're dealing with, and work with Dean and work with private property owners.
They've done a lot of successful work locally on grants, for instance, in Cleveland and in Waddington. And
they're local too, from
And they're local.
Langston.
yeah,
That's right.
they are local. And the other step that we would take as a part of this process, the grant process, is that we need to get public input for it. And that's not only a grant requirement, it's one of those things that's sensible when you're talking about making major changes in your community. You know, get the sense of what the community actually wants done, as opposed to having Anne Marie and me come up with an idea.
We would do a call for projects
So
and put something out to the community.
we thought what we would do would be to establish a citizens committee, starting with our town planning board and ZBA, ask those members to serve. And then hold a public meeting where we ask anybody who's interested, come to the meeting. And start to get public input that would help define this.
The meeting we had last summer was there was a lot of positivity. That meeting we had, that was encouraging that we had here. In fact, Taylor was here, but he really sitting there very.
He also made some comments yesterday when we were interviewing Fourth Coast. They made some comments, for example, about the pedestrian bridge. And maybe because that was the $2.2 million piece of that proposal, it was too big. It became the focus. Maybe it didn't need to be the focus. If you want a pedestrian bridge, he suggested that maybe there would be monies at the Department of Environmental Conservation. Maybe there are other ways to go about looking at that. But the whole thing that was submitted last time would be on the table. It would be up for conversation again. And I think that that might have been a positive for lots of us who live over on the other side, and the pedestrian bridge is a wonderful idea, but maybe not for everyone. So, I mean, everything would be on the table again if we did a call for projects.
One of the points I made is, I thought we needed to look at things that would make for growth. Instead of simply satisfying those that already live here. That's the.
Call for projects
Yeah.
too, so.
So before I make a motion, put a motion on the floor, I wonder if there are any other questions that really occur to you, Sean, or David,
And we do want to take,
or Sherry.
I do want you guys to find a time that we can walk this area and look at it. What are you laughing?
Fine for me.
Well, there's, I think there's a plumbing job involved.
I'm good with what you're saying, Chris. What you're saying is Ted's gonna throw in $5,000.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And, you know, that's a pretty good
That's very,
sign of faith,
yes,
isn't it?
yes, it is.
This is
I'll
not just.
second
messing
your
around.
motion, so.
Well, in that case, the motion is that the town authorize engagement of Fourth Coast. For consulting and engineering up to a total of town expenditures of $5,000. Total services of $10,000.
So the motion has been made. Seconded it. Roll call, please.
Chris,
Yes.
Sean,
Aye.
Gary,
Aye.
David,
Aye.
Frank,
Aye. And thank you all. We all want Morristown to continue to be better and more vibrant. And I think we feel very comfortable that this is how we're going to.
You want to mention that
Most
tomorrow.
of the time, Anne Marie and I are in lockstep. This time, she has a little more sense of needing a consultant than I do. Since she does all the work. But we're gonna work very hard to generate a lot of this stuff ourselves.
I think a little bit of it's gonna come from concept and more hard facts with the consultant.
Tomorrow, we have a meeting with Empire State Development in Watertown. The three of us are gonna go and talk with them. They're gonna review our application from 2 years ago. They're gonna talk to us about some of the proposals that Ted has in his concept drawings and so forth. Because the largest criticism that we had of the previous application was that we didn't have any private development. So now we have private development, we think. And then it's also probably fair to say that we were going to try to engage come on, where you can do this. An engineer to go in, or a realtor to go in and give you an appraisal of the Newbie property and to find out what's going on with that property also. That's something I guess that's coming down the line.
I'm scared.
The Newbie property
okay.
that's for sale
Yeah,
down there
yeah,
in Waterfront. Yeah.
Probably we ought to discuss that more in executive session, and perhaps we could do that tonight.
Well,
Yes.
so we're working again toward an application that would go in sometime this summer. Same sort of thing, but maybe with a bit more technology, a bit of a professional twist, and some context. And as Chris always says, these professional firms have the Rolodex. And I don't, I just know Warner's English grammar and can put a couple of sentences together, so.
They know.
They know.
Yeah. Grease the wheel. So, motion is made, second. It's passed. Very good, thank you all. So, the next item we have is, the resolution is not going to work with private smart homes. This is also a building block for what we want to accomplish.
So now we're into climate stuff.
Well,
Next one.
No, we're not.
explain it to them.
This actually came, it came out of yesterday's meeting, actually, when we're looking at grants, I don't know whether you're interested in.
Thank you.
Climate smart communities, if you remember last year we came to you. We said that we needed, in order to apply for any of these grants, we needed to do pro housing. And luckily Lisa had all that experience in Potsdam to do pro housing and was able to get our application in. And I think we've been certified, and we've got all of that. That will allow us to go forward with grants with extra points when we put, no matter what grants are put in from the town, even if Dean were to put in a grant, now they're saying the community should have pro housing. Well, now what they're saying is that the community should have climate smart community certification. And I know, well, I know, I can see your eyebrows.
This climate crap, pushing the heat pumps and pushing this stuff, everybody's electric bills are going sky high and.
Okay, so what this is asking for is to complete an application. We're not asking you to sell the farm. This is to complete an application so that we can put in grants with extra points to become certified. And I think in your packet, there is a piece of paper on the resolution that says, it is hereby resolved that the town of Morristown, in order to reduce greenhouse gas emissions and adapt to changing climate, will take a pledge. Doesn't say we're gonna do anything, Davey. It says we're
I'm
gonna
a
make
no,
a
so these
pledge.
guys can take.
And then that we would file an application and they would send us some information about what we had to do to become a green community. So it's not saying we have to be a green community. It just is saying that we will look at building a climate smart community, that we will look at inventory and emissions, set goals and plan for climate action. We would want to decrease energy use. It's saying that we would want to do that. It's not saying that we would do it. It's simply saying that we would be interested in becoming a climate smart.
It doesn't require this.
Doesn't require anything except to put in an application.
You guys are fine, I'm good, I'm so sick of this climate crap and stuff they push down our throats. Ugh.
I'm just thinking of it from the standpoint of the grants.
I'm looking at it like this, that's okay.
There's no money involved. We're not saying we're gonna do anything except file an application with the state that says we'll go through the. Lisa, maybe you can talk about the pro housing thing.
I can talk about climate smart too if you want to.
Okay, go ahead.
So if you look at the state site, the climate smart, there's only two counties or two municipalities in our county that are considered climate smart, Canton and Potsdam.
And why did they do it?
What?
Why are Canton and Potsdam the two communities?
Because they're huge environmentalists.
Well,
That
may be true.
But also on the website too, if you look, the, for this, they say, I think it's just, in my opinion, it's a ploy from the state to get people to go with this climate smart. Because if you look at the criteria for grants, you don't have to be a climate smart community to get these, community grants that all this funding has just went to. And like Davey said, heat pumps aren't, unless you put in a heat pump, all other heating is funded through it. They push EVs on municipalities. If you change everything over to EV, then you get certain criteria met and all this. For this to meet you can be recognized, which is it's just passing this resolution. But if you go to the next level and think you want more money from them, the criteria to become silver, bronze, gold. I know over in Potsdam, the DPW had to go through every track. I mean, Dean and his guys don't have time to do what Potsdam did and what was expected of Potsdam to do. It is outstanding, like.
Well, 'cause we just- two meetings ago, we filed for exemptions for emissions, so.
Yeah.
To get our trucks built, like, we had to sign DC exemptions
Maybe
saying
it sounds good. but they-
We'd have to go through our buildings and figure out how many wattages we are pumping out every day and what I mean, it's just. But again, I mean, yes. Pass the resolution, get yourself on as a recognized climate smart, but to go through to try to get certified. Our employees don't have that much time.
I wonder whether we could wait until we go talk with people at the Empire State Development tomorrow.
Yeah, we're not,
And ask them whether or not, if we don't pass this,
No, like I said, the resolution to pass this initial resolution to become recognized doesn't require any paperwork. It doesn't require you sending in anything other than the resolution saying you passed it.
That's it.
and what is
And
it?
you're
That's
just
it.
considered a recognized climate smart. You still are in the same pool for all the funding, points, I should say. You don't get any extra funding, but you get more points when you
So-
put in your in.
We'll get more points, but.
Right.
Okay,
Whereas the pro housing, when we did that, that opens up the whole municipality. Homeowners can put in their own grants, because we're a pro housing community. Homeowners are eligible to put in their own grant, or put in their,
applications.
right, and they can put in money into their own homes, or we can put it into rehab. That might be something we can.
Great projects.
Exactly, they just started putting out funding and little snippets of the little breadcrumbs on what you can actually do, but again, the governor's pushed money out of this program to fund other areas where she earmarked it for pro housing, so it's one of those that, like I said, get yourself on on the list, I guess.
That's really what we're asking, but I certainly understand it's kind of quick information, but I think that it will enhance, the information we have is that it and the pro housing are the two pieces that we need going forward for 2025 New York Forward, and that's why it's before you. But there's no urgency. I mean, this certainly can wait.
Yes, we're not, the application isn't going very often, as you said, we can bring this up in discussion.
then we could come back in April and.
I'm still a no, so you guys.
And I think sometimes a split vote is the way. it is.
That's fine, I'm still a no. And I like that you're so open-minded. I'm not, trust me, yeah.
You want
All
to
right.
table it?
That is, then we will table that. I mean, you guys can vote on it.
No,
If you guys got the votes, do it.
No, we're gonna table it tonight. I'm gonna find out
We're gonna,
a little more about it.
okay, be open-minded enough to.
I think
I'm gonna be open-minded enough that I wanna know more.
Seriously, I think we ought to have split votes every once in a while. It's a sign of mental health.
There you go. Just don't get your cane out.
Right.
Shake's got a cane.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's not happening, does it?
No, I
From
think.
the president's speech.
Oh, geez, so does that guy, yes. Okay, for that. Why don't I, yeah, I cheat sheet. We're going to. We gotta go back to. We're going to, yes, why don't we give it, hand it over to our code officer first, department reports, and we'll look at this. Continue with this.
You want to vote on the resolution now, and then do the report after, or
Do your report and then bring up.
the resolution?
Yeah.
Okay, so, as you guys see, there was only one permit for February for demo. For another state, initiative, the Huckle put out that she created a short-term rental. Which will be the responsibility of the county to collect taxes on short-term rental, so to get ahead of that. I went on Airbnb, VRBO, and a couple of the other short-term rental sites. Found out we had a handful that had never went through when we first initially passed the short-term rental law, had never got that grandfathering, as of the end of that year. So I sent out 10 notices for short-term rentals that had never gone through the process. 4 of the applications are on next week's planning board agenda. But they have all been running for, minimum 3 years, some of them as much as like 5-6 years. So they should, in my opinion, be in kind of in that grandfathering, but they were never notified of any, law or anything like that, so we walked them through it. For the short-term rental too, I've reached out to the county because Joe had said at one time, I thought he said June, the county had put in their own, bed tax for short-term rentals. Can't find it anywhere. There's no forms. I contacted 2 different offices in the county and nobody's returned my call, to try to get that in our application process. The state, their process will start March 25th. So that will be on the county to collect all of it. It'll be all in one lump sum. They have to report quarterly. These online sites have to report to the state quarterly and then it'll get knocked down to the county. So somewhere along the line, there should be, again, I think we are the only municipality that has short-term rental regulations. So we're kind of ahead of the game. So I think we're in a good spot there. I will be out the week of March 24th to the 20th for annual code training, which we're gonna be starting a new code cycle. So, this is one that it's all new updates and getting ready for that new cycle, so.
Can I interrupt for just a second?
Sure.
I have county planning board on Thursday, and I know that those have all come up. And I had stopped in to see Jill yesterday, just to
Yeah.
make sure there was nothing, no concerns, that
Right.
you didn't have any concerns, so everything's good to go, cause
Yeah,
they'll
I
ask me.
think, like I said, they're kind of, I kept them kind of basic because like I said, they've been running there. We haven't had any, obviously, there was no complaints on them through all, they're all in the same area right up here on 37. So they're all kind of lumped in together.
So it's okay for me to say that they are grandfathered, cause I'm always asked.
Yeah,
anything.
I mean, technically, I would think so, but they didn't meet that December of 23 or 24 deadline.
Okay.
Or 23. They didn't meet that deadline to just get put right in.
Great, I just wanted
They
to
have to go
double
through
check.
the whole process now, so, yeah.
Okay.
And there's a couple that, took their stuff off, they didn't wanna deal with the state and the tax and all that, and then there's a couple that I had, I pulled them off the thing and sent it to the wrong address, so. But yeah, I think we're all set on that.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah,
Sort of didn't
no,
hear
you're
off.
fine. Yeah, so like I said, but for when I'm out the end of the month that week, I'll still respond to emails and calls or texts or whatever, so I'll still be available, so.
You just want to hear those stairs squeaking. and
Yeah.
Coming up to your office, right?
Right.
Okay, now, so let's move forward.
Okay, so basically, from what I've seen in the old files, basically, so I've inspected all these properties, there's 4. Like I said, there's a couple that are kind of off the list for this round, just because they're already in discussion with an engineer, or they're looking to sell, I know they're already sold per se, and they're gonna be demoed. One already has a demo permit issued. So these ones are unsafe structures, and this will allow me to move forward. So I don't know if somebody just wants to make the motion, and then I'll give you the addresses to put in there.
I'll make the motion to give Lisa the go ahead to condemn these 4 properties.
Do you want me to just give you the addresses, Jill, and then you can?
Yeah.
What are they? Can you tell us yet?
Yeah, 3743 County Route 6. 1052 Oak Point Road. 3808 County Route 6. And I'm sorry, change that to 3, not 4. I didn't put one of them close.
So we have 3 properties?
Yes, 3. Like I said, the other 3 are off for right now. If they don't, do something soon.
They're in the process that.
Yeah, they're kind of trying to comply, so.
Okay, so you
I'll second.
roll call.
Chris,
Yes.
Sean,
Yeah.
Gary,
Aye.
David, Frank,
Zoning, yes. Motion carries, so we have the. You can get that to Andy? I'll go start or what?
No, I send letters, I post, signage on the buildings. I send them letters and then if they request a hearing, then I'll bring them before you. But if not, they'll have.
You do a certified letter?
Yeah.
Or something?
Yeah.
Speaking of meetings, we got an update for the next meeting of those other properties.
No. Oh, can we get an update? No, he won't, because I just sent him last week, like I said, I sent him pictures of snow covered properties. And he sent us back an email this morning asking if I can just keep an eye on them, maybe after this week, just keep sending
So
him
what you have
pictures.
redo, yeah,
Right.
pictures.
The judge is apparently picky on what she wants to actually see ground and what's on it, so.
We were chatting this morning that anything she sees this forward, be wise just to grab pictures and even if you think maybe they're going to conform. But have them in case this happens, then you're not caught in the middle of winter, not able to document. So.
And with that is the new garbage law, so we can go in and hire a contractor, go in and clean it up, correct? That's what.
Well, we have some outstanding ones that aren't settled yet.
Yes, right. There's a couple, of the repeat ones in Bar Hill. Those ones are tenant, so that kind of gives a different, like I could easily send somebody in there probably for those, but. Single family owner occupied makes it a little more, not easy to get on there.
More challenging.
Yeah.
That one house, yeah, the one by there. In Briar Hill, the lights were on the stairs and downstairs.
Yeah.
But they weren't even sure that there was somebody living there.
Oh, right, yeah.
That's why.
Would that place be brown?
Hmm?
Would that be brown?
That would be a place that has a porch upstairs and a porch.
Gotcha.
Believe me, I don't appreciate it. No, that's not how my place looks. So, and so as my grandmother would say, soap and waters doesn't cost a lot as far as being clean. Okay, so with that, are we good that we're moving forward?
Yes, thank you.
Feeling comfortable? Okay.
Phew.
Monica.
I got, you're almost as old as us.
And we will.
Thank you, guys.
and-
See you later.
and we set up something for next week and.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes.
Next week is open for other people. All right, with that, we'll move now to town clerk.
Whew, I don't, after all this, I don't know. It's halfway through the tax collection. I've submitted the first report to the county and second notices will be going out by the end of April. I've had a lot of dog licenses coming in. You know, normal. I've had an abundance number of requests for old records, marriage, death, and birth. I don't know why.
It's not coming from the historian.
No, it's just, there's been a lot. So,
That's why, like, yesterday, we were in there, I heard stomping going down upstairs in that back part, she was up there
yeah,
digging away.
yeah.
So,
Were we getting all them records put on electronic? I thought we were doing that at one time.
I'm not sure. I know at one time, well, before
Oh,
David
Dave
left,
was
they
here.
were, yeah,
Oh, we were doing-
he was talking about it before.
Never did.
I never heard anymore. I know, Patty had contacted the, archives. And I'm not sure what they had found out.
I probably get money to do that.
There's a grant out
There's-
there right now for archival, yeah, there is a. grant.
There's one available. Yeah. And I'll be going to conference in April and they're usually there as well, so I can look into that. Yeah, archive files. Are you thinking of the
It'd just be a lot,
village?
it'd just be a lot easier to, if somebody
Yeah.
comes in looking for something, you know, if it's there.
I'm just wondering because I know Patty had done some work with the archiving the village files. Maybe that's what you're thinking.
I remember something about it.
Yeah.
Okay, anything else, Phil?
No,
Okay, we'll move on to highway department. June?
Everything's been running good. So we thought we had the generator fixed on Bay Street. I think you seen probably in the bill. They didn't, it was supposed to be like 10,000 something. We got it down to 6,800 on travel, most of it's travel time. Last week it was supposed to run on its monthly run. It failed again. And I have not got him back up here yet. He was supposed to be here today. He did not call or show, so I don't know if something happened or what. So I did send an email to the service tech, the dispatcher, didn't hear anything, so. Hopefully I hear something. It's in the fault speed sensor again. I don't know what else to do with it,
How big is it?
what's that?
How big a generator?
What is that one? That one is 65. So. We did get some of the new controllers in we ordered. They seem to be working somewhat better. Sewer has calmed down since the weather's stopped being so cold and moisture is starting to become better. That's about it. Hopefully the winter is just about over. We did get all of our salt was finally delivered last week. I still had like 125 tons out there. So they did deliver that. I think everything else is going pretty good.
And there've been. Somebody saying to me, they thought some commercial people were into the salt and sand pile, and I asked Dean about it and he checked.
We do have a camera on the
He
salt
checked
sand.
the
We went in, I
camera.
mean, there was maybe a 5-gallon pail.
Yeah, we didn't see the
Alright.
commercial people.
Yeah,
You know how that gets.
commercial trucks in
That
there.
stuff gets going.
And we can usually tell, because like when you load it, there's no footprints, so I mean, you can go in there and see like if somebody's really taking a shovel full out of there or
Yeah.
something. But yeah, no other than that, we will be, if the weather does continue to break, we will start digging on Main Street for the one sewer leak that we do have. We've just been making sure that the weather's gonna be right.
Okay, thank you, Dean.
Yep.
We have, in your packet, you have a historian's report.
no, there's.
So there's nothing to read for the reports from the dog control. Our assessor and our communications director stating her regrets. She had a major commitment tonight to her 6-year-old granddaughter's birthday party. So, we can understand that. But that is moving right along well with that electronic news.
Yeah, I think that's good.
piece that we have.
Yeah.
And I'd encourage you, if you know anybody, to have them sign up. It's a great communication piece. Okay, with that, we talk about.
I'd like to ask for a brief executive session and depending on the sense of the board, I would look for some. Like to take action after the executive session, so maybe Bill could stay in. I'd be perfectly comfortable having anybody in the room stay as long as we don't record this in the minutes.
Okay, Gary, we need to say goodbye.
Alrighty, take care.
Have a good night.
Thank you. Take care.
Bye, Gary.
Bye, guys.